So welcome everybody, and now we're going to start talking about the practice of creating commitments and agreements. So Katie Hendricks is fond of, and Gay are fond of explaining that commitments are declarations of intention that you create with the great mystery, with the divine, with the creative force that gives us all life. Agreements, however, are clearly defined, unambiguous metrics of accountability that you create in relationship. So I'm going to explain to you a little commitment ritual, which I find very helpful with the inspiration that I've got from Gay and Katie, and which I've been able to pass on to many of my clients. So the first step is to really declare your commitments, and you might actually want to write these down in advance of doing this little exercise or ritual. But when you've got some clear commitments ready, you can do the practice. Now, a commitment would be something about you and your relationship to the creative force, to life itself. It's not relationally dependent. For example, I am committed to being honest and truthful. I'm committed to that no matter what, with my partner, with anybody. With my dog alone in the forest, I'm still committed to being honest and truthful. I'm committed to self-examination. I'm committed to looking at my own shadow honestly and vulnerably. It doesn't require another person for me to have that commitment. I'm committed to showing up as love and being an embodiment and a transmission of love in this lifetime. So it's extremely powerful, although these commitments are actually between you and the Great Spirit, between you and your innermost core. They are actually between you and the divine. It's extraordinarily powerful to state these commitments with the witnessing of your partner. And we could say that the other way around. It's incredibly powerful for you to witness your partner stating these commitments out loud. Although the commitments are not to you, they're to the Great Spirit and to themselves. It's a wonderful step of vulnerable intimacy to witness your partner making commitments. So that's the first step. You could sit in front of an altar of some kind, if you like, if you're that way disposed. It could be an altar devoted to a particular icon. It could just be an altar to the great mystery, but to actually state your commitments out loud. The second step that I love in embodying the process of making commitments is to acknowledge what gets in the way. And this is the distinction that the Hendricks make between essence and persona. Your essence is what's aligned with your commitment to living in the best possible way. Very often personas are what trip us up. A persona might be people-pleasing and therefore not aligned with telling the truth, always to avoid conflict. A persona might be self-promoting and wanting to put my own needs above other people's. This would also be sometimes at odds with the commitments made by essence. So the first step is to state commitments. The second step is to acknowledge that you're not always living this way, that there are things which get in the way. And this is also wonderful to be witnessed in this by your intimate partner, but also to witness your intimate partner being vulnerable and honest about your commitment, but also what gets in the way. And the third step then in making commitments is to be honest about where you need support. That's where you might say, yes, I want to be more truthful. I want to have the courage to be truthful, and I need support. I need, hello, Suzanne Wagner, to feel like I need support. I need people close to me to hold me accountable to being truthful. Or maybe in my case, I tend to be very messy. You can't see right now because I've got a carefully orchestrated outdoor scenario, but my house often has piles of stuff because I'm very creative. I don't want to be messy. And so I can say I need support in being clean. I need people who notice mess better than I do to remind me and hold me accountable. Now, once you've got clear on your commitments, on what gets in the way and where you need support, now you can start to make real, meaningful agreements with your partner. And these are not just agreements about who will pick up the kids after school. These are not just agreements about, don't forget to buy the butter. These are not even agreements about fidelity, for example, or financial disclosure. These are agreements that are directly connected to your deepest commitments to why you're alive. So now you may make an agreement with your partner connected to your commitments. And those are the most powerful agreements, the most evolutionary agreements, the agreements which allow your relationship to become something like a temple or a dojo, not just convenience to avoid being lonely and raise a family, but your relationship itself becomes the place where you most experience personal transformation and development. So now we might start to make really deep, meaningful agreements. Like if you notice mess, if you notice things left around and not put away, please remind me, and I agree to set that straight within 5 minutes of you reminding me. If you notice that I'm not being completely truthful or evasive, you have my permission to tell me that something doesn't feel quite right, and I make the agreement to sit and listen to you and then to reflect on whether I've been fully disclosing in my communication. These kind of agreements, the agreements that are made connected to your deepest values and your commitments, these kind of agreements that are connected to your motivation to fully evolve and grow in this lifetime, these are the kind of agreements that make a relationship deep and real and fulfilling and inspiring. We need other agreements, of course, as well, about, don't forget to pay the gas bill and things like that, practical things. But it's these agreements which are completely and directly connected to your innermost longing to live as essence and to be free of the habits that interfere with essence, which we often call, disowned personas. These are the agreements that make relationship into something spectacular, inspiring, evolutionary. So I was under strict orders to keep this to 5 to 10 minutes, and we've managed that well in 7 minutes. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, how you can create a commitment ritual with your partner, a little practice where you both state your commitment, not to your partner, but to yourself and to the Great Spirit. Articulate your deepest commitment and why you're alive. Acknowledge what gets in the way. Acknowledge where you need help and support. And then create agreements with your partner based upon what you've just declared. Agreements that are directly connected to your deepest longing to live as love. Thanks for being here today. This is Arjuna Ardagh with a Hendricks How-To.